Do you ever watch a speedrun and think to yourself, what? All speedruns require countless hours of enslaving oneself to practice. You have to shave off frames from your movement, you have to master pixel-perfect glitches, and even master the art of nothing. Every game has an any % speedrun. You beat the game as fast as possible using any means. If it's faster to skip a bow and arrow, you can skip the bow and arrow to save time. If it's fast to get a key to open the door, you grab that key to move faster. Anything goes. Simple, really. And all games have the 100% speedrun, where you are required to get every single thing in the game as fast as possible. And sometimes you get categories of insanity. Categories that enforce challenges or restrictions too slow to make the final cut in the main categories. Stuff like low A presses, where routing when to press the A button is crucial. Or maybe you're only allowed to use the game's most vital ability as little as possible. Welcome to the world of low % speedruns. In low %, time is actually the second most important. What first determines the fastest speedrun is how many things a speedrun has. If I got the claw shots and the ball and chain and beat Zelda in 5 minutes, but you only got the ball and chain and beat Zelda in 1 hour, your run would still be better because you skipped one more thing than I did, which is the most important factor in low % speedruns. Today, I've gathered some of the more insane speedruns from Zelda games that I could find, and I hope to show you a thing or two that you haven't seen before. Let's begin. The basic goal of Tears of the Kingdom 0% is to be able to get to the army fight before we do anything on Great Sky Island. If we unlock any map names, that's a percentage, and any shrines, maps, and stuff like that will also count towards percentage. Thankfully, unlocking new items such as a sword or a shield will not count as percentage. So even though we are technically advancing the game in a way where we can now remember these items, whereas before we couldn't, it doesn't count as percentage on the game's map, which is the scope we're using to complete this 0% challenge. In order to complete nothing on Great Sky Island and get to the army fight, we would need something powerful, because all around the world, every inch of the world, is surrounded by a void out trigger that will void you out the frame the game notices your coordinates within that range. Thankfully, because I'm mentioning this speedrun, there is a method. It's just really stupid. Basically, we need to take a build on the bottom of the map in the depths below the floor that's been tampered with in way too many ways so that we can load a new file on Great Sky Island, no-clip through several floors using this text box and a steering stick, and with about 2 hours of patience, land inside of this build, equip a shield, and then have this build fly us to the army fight, advance the text, and fight army. If that sounded like Japanese and voodoo magic to you, don't worry, because I am here and feel the exact same way. To give the surface level overview, what we want to do is perform a glitch called fuse entanglement about 793 times in order to get build pieces to stay in the overworld even when we are on the opposite side of the map. Fuse entanglement is when you start a fuse but interrupt it by holding L to pull up the ability menu, which will then allow you to hold D-pad left and pull out another shield. This allows for stuff like Pocket Rocket, where you can shield surf and just fly. Then if you zuggle that shield, that will basically duplicate the shield in such a way to where it never comes off Link's back. And now if we recall lock that material and immediately load a save, the material will still persist through any save. These are the 3 most crucial glitches that we'll be using. I unfortunately don't know all the details to this. It's super confusing to me. I just followed a video, so I highly recommend you go check out Timber's video on skipping the Great Sky Island. He gives fantastic visuals and explains it perfectly. Unfortunately, because of the way everything's set up, this takes a lot of file setup. I had to spend hours collecting near 100 Korok seeds so that I could get enough shield space so that I can zuggle enough shields to be able to keep all these builds in place. Because the way I understand it, 1 shield equals 1 build material that is able to stay in the overworld. Not to mention the fact that we need auto build in order to auto build cancel by choosing a build, pressing B and then immediately Y and selecting the build again, which will allow us to have free control over Link while the auto build is just kind of flying over our heads. It's not technically required, but I'm not about to Ultra Hand for an hour straight, going all the way from Terrytown to Riverside Stable. So Infinite Pocket Rocket and auto build cancel will do. I need the aforementioned Korok Seeds, and you also need Fire Temple complete, because we need to do a glitch called Ultra Broken. I'm so sorry, there are so many glitches. If you take a build right next to these guys and talk to them and they walk away, now you have what's called Ultra Broken, where it's basically weightless, and you can use Ultra Hand to fly yourself at super speeds. And if 100 Korok Seeds and Fire Temple weren't enough, we also need to have this shrine unlocked. Thankfully, with Infinite Pocket Rocket, it's not a very big deal, but when you realize halfway into the setup process that you need a shrine that you don't have, it's kind of annoying. And with all that set up, I think we are finally ready to get into the setup phase. We'll first set up this Infinite Pocket Rocket by fuse entangling it to our shield, then zuggling that shield, picking up another shield and zuggling that shield, then recall locking the rocket and reloading our autosave. Now we'll grab this stone slab, which I forgot to mention that you have to go to a specific shrine to get beforehand, and we'll use this guy to get the stone slab off of our shield. We'll perform recall and then fuse entangle it. Now we'll grab a few boards and put it on top of this stone slab. We'll also zuggle the shield that we used to fuse entangle our stone slab, and zuggle one more shield, and then we Infinite Pocket Rocket out of there. After a few minutes, we make it to Riverside Stable. Now once here, we grab some more boards and we fuse entangle a bunch of materials to our shields. Then we have to build our box, which is built like a 1x1 Lego piece with a little platform on the end. We perform Ultra Broken, which, fun fact, used to be called Wacko Boingo. That's like the best glitch name right next to Basumdabuts. Now we grab a fuse entangled gravity stone and attach it to this build, and you'll notice immediately that something's different here. After hitting the hover stone and setting this build a few feet off the ground, we take this giant stone slab, recall it in place, and then Ultra Hand this Ultra Broken build and try and glue it to the stone slab, which will perform what we call Ghost Glue, where it's supposed to glue with Ultra Hand, but it's not actually glued. When you try to pull away, you can't, but it's not officially stuck to it. This is the force that we're going to be using to get our build to move us all the way to the army fight. Something I didn't explain very well earlier is why we're zuggling these fuse entangled shields. When we fuse entangle a shield, whatever we entangled to our shield will not be able to leave the world until the shield is no longer equipped. What Zuggle allows us to do is equip multiple shields at the exact same time. So we can basically equip 13 or so fuse entangled shields so that 13 or so builds will stay in the overworld. So now we have to make sure that these shields are always on our back or lying on the ground, otherwise our builds will disappear. With that said, we go to Great Sky Island because that's where our new game file is going to be at, and set up a steering stick in such a way to where we can shoot this fan and unlock the battery. This cutscene on the first attempt will allow us to open our inventory, and that is a crucial detail. Because of Ghost Glue, no matter where builds are in the world, they're always going to be trying to chase each other and connect. So when we take builds under the map, we recall lock a board that we're not gonna need. Once this build is recall locked, we can take the other part of the ghost glued object and fly it over to the army fight. But because this build is recall locked, it can't chase it. However, if the shield is unequipped, the board that's recall locking the entire build will disappear, and then the build will be able to run free and scoot us to the army fight. So us unlocking the battery, allowing us to unequip the shield, will do exactly that. So we recall lock the steering stick so we can use it later. Then we go find our build in the overworld and take it to this spot on the map. Now we travel to the shrine because all coordinates in shrines and the overworld are linked. So by going inside the shrine, our build begins to fall because it's still there due to the fuse entanglement, but there's no floor and it's in the void. Then we can clip out of bounds and go to the bottom of the depths on the floor, which, fun fact, is frictionless. So we can do stuff like this. Nice. Now we use markings between the steering stick and our build to make sure they're aligned perfectly, and recall lock the build in place. We ultra broken flight the other piece over to the army fight, and after everything's set up, we just start a new game. And by start a new game, I mean resume the new game I already started, which, as you'll notice, already has a lot of stuff attached to it. This is because Zuggle persists through loads, and when you drop one weapon, all of your weapons get dropped. So we can Zuggle swords and shields, and even a ruby, and then duplicate the rubies by going in our inventory, holding it, and pressing Y and B. For the fairies, that's a little more complicated, and why I had to beat Spirit Temple. Even more setup. When Minoru's in the overworld, we get on Minoru, dismiss Minoru, hold the materials that we want to be transferred to a file, watch 2 memories, and then close the menu. Now we have to die, go to the title screen, and reload whatever save we want those items to be transferred to, and now we need to make sure we press plus to pause and then A on the item. But now you drop the items and boom, we can get fairies. Now if we fuse and tangle a steering stick to a weapon that we Zuggle over to another file, we can drop that weapon and immediately hold the steering stick, and that lets us clip through the ground. We can watch the intro cutscene and immediately save and quit, and that'll send us back to the awakening room. We clip one more time, and Mazdoor jump over to this construct. We can get the Purapad just fine, and then we steering stick clip, this time with the text box. And after we wait for Link to fall for 2 hours, we unequip the shield, and that deletes the recall locked board, and sends us to Army. And that's it. We throw rubies at Army, we clip out of bounds for the bosses, and beat Ganondorf. Version 1.0 doesn't let you Zuggle as much shields before the game overloads, so I had a lot of trouble following along with Timber, and I accidentally let too many autosaves slip and don't have any backed up save files, so my 20 hours of progress got deleted, and the build didn't have enough pieces to work, and I messed up with the ghost glue. Ouch. Maybe I'll try again later to restore my pride. But big thanks to Timber and his second channel. Let's move on to one you've likely heard of. Twilight Princess Low Percent. Okay, let's begin Twilight Princess Low Percent Speedrun. And start. I've already explained glitches in several Twilight Princess videos, so apart from the clear differences, I'm gonna be going really quick through a lot of these glitches. So we're gonna take this rock, and use it to jump through this fence, just like so. Now we're gonna void out on the same frame we reset the console, and that will activate back in time, where we can play on title screen Link. And if we void out once, we can get rid of the title screen, and now we can save over file 1. And that will give us title screen Link's abilities, including the Tunic, Sword and Shield, ability to call Epona, and even get the Iron Boots. First we're gonna get the Lantern. Coming up is already a major route difference compared to other Twilight Princess speedruns or challenges, so I want to take this opportunity to explain what we mean by things when in low percent we attempt to get as little things as possible. Will of course include any items, they will also include portals and small keys and post souls and whatnot. We're going to be skipping the small key that's required to open the gate ahead. By dropping off this ledge, holding right on a certain frame after a roll. Now we're going to turn around, target, turn around, target, and off we go. So now we need to get one of these bokoblins in the corner. Just going to push him there. Oh, that's not good. What? That's an interesting blue rupee spot. It might still work, we will see. So now we're going to perform rupee sliding. You probably already know what this is by now. There's a missing frame at the end of Link's idling animation. That allows us to scoot ever so slightly. And this wall has no collision while we pick up this rupee. If the rupee position and my angle were good enough, we should be able to clip through in about an hour. Okay, now we just advance the text box and go right through the gate. And now we can go and get the Iron Boots. Now we have to do Sword and Shield skip. This trick could be first try, and it could also take me 3 hours. Finally, okay. Now we get to the Twilight section, which we're not going to be doing. Here's the fence we skipped earlier. Now we back up in this corner, aim the camera, and just side hop through. Now we're going to use these Shadow Beasts to hopefully jump up and perform early Master Sword. So we want to wait until a certain point in his hitting animation. No, that was so close. Didn't randomly void out. Nice. Wow, nice. I did not see him blow his horn. That must have been... I don't know. Oh, you go left and then you go down once first. I forgot about the pattern. That's embarrassing. Alright, so now we warp back to Farron. Still in the middle of Twilight. Now we're going to get to Forest Temple. Now that we can transform to human, I do not know where to go. This is supposed to be faster. It is not. And I'm going to run out all my oil. Or do that. It's just right here. It's just right here. Oh my gosh, it's just right there. And now we have to clip through this gate again, because we never got the small key, because that counts as a thing. Things are banned. That is very easy. And now, remember how earlier I said portals also count as things? So we need to perform the early Master Sword skip with the Shadow Beasts a second time, so that we can skip this portal and get to Forest Temple. Yes! Okay. Alright, now just because I can... Oh, apparently I can't transform here. I'm gonna steal some oil. I can't dip it. Okay. Now we burn the spiderweb, and now we can enter Forest Temple. Oh hey, got it. Nice. So now we start the game right as we void out. Reset. Skip the cutscene. Now we get the 4 monkeys. Jump attack, spin, and stab, and he's down. And now we get the Gale Boomerang, which is one of the most broken items in this game. Okay, now we're going to transform into human, and use the Gale Boomerang to perform a long jump attack to get past a mid and a text trigger right in front of me. Here should be fine. Aim for the corner. And we're through. Do we also have to skip letters for low percent? I think so. Letters count as things. Yeah, so I need to save my game here because I cannot get the postman. I have to skip all his triggers. Pass the white spot right in front of here. Throw the boomerang. And we skipped them. So now we're up at the Twilight and no mail. Now we need to perform Rupee Roll. Alright, now I need a frame perfect jump attack into the void. Nope, reset. Nice. So that's a portal we have to get, but we cannot warp the bridge. Now we're going to be performing Rupee Roll. This trick isn't too bad. Not the best at it, though. Alright, this should work, I think. Nice. Okay, now we want to carefully side hop along here, hit the fence, turn around, Gale Boomerang, wait for it to come back slightly, go. Nice. Oh, now I have to be careful to avoid a certain trigger on the ground. So now we get this portal. I'm going to go over to the bridge so that we can get the warp ability, the one where you just go on your map instead of pressing Z. It's required for later. So now we need to escape Farron one more time. Now we're going to be clipping through another gate. Just like so. Transform into human up here. Now we can skip the cutscene super quick and jump down into Lake Hylia. Now we need to perform Pillar Clip. We're going to use a pillar and the weird collision between it and the wall to clip out of bounds. Oh, yep, that's gonna work. Nice! And now if we save and quit because we have the Master Sword, the game will put us at the start of the dungeon out of the water, which is nice because we wouldn't be able to make it otherwise. Okay, so now we can use the Gale Boomerang to long jump attack over here. Come over here. And then just jump attack on the side. And slide on down. Now that we're here, we can LJA across. Easy. Alright, and with the boss flag tampered with, now we can look up and skip the cutscene. I don't know why I can't do 2 bosses in a row. Now we can see up to make her fall faster. Let's see if I can get the 1 cycle. No. Dang it, I was too far back and it didn't... Now we get the claw shots. Or claw shot. Now we're gonna Uku out of here. Now we just need to do the Twilights. Alright, now we're gonna warp away. Coming up is a really cool trick I've never even seen before. So we come over here to this wall. Look at that thing, which you're able to claw shot with Human Link. And just claw shot through. And that skips that portal. Nice. And because we just skipped the portal, we're gonna have to tread Death Mountain. Backflip spin attack. Hold target and up. And bye-bye. Now we're gonna be warping to Kakariko again. Oh, right, this glitch. I'm dreading this one. So we want to unplug our controller, hold map and Z at the same time. Try to warp away, and Midna will stop us. This will make map glitch. So now loading zones are deactivated. Did I stop too late? I feel like Epona's more in the wall. Now I'm gonna go for 5 spurs. Now we're gonna hold back, left, release, go for 3 spurs. Pause buffer. Until here, hold left. Okay, hopefully that worked. Oh, I look like I'm really low. Alright, that should work. Come on. Okay, I like that. Now we can save our game. And when we reload, Epona will just be chilling here. Now we can ride out of bounds. Now we're gonna stop over this loading zone beneath us. Turn around and use the map to see where we're located. So I need to back up some more. I'm not sure if that's good. It might be. No, it's not. Back up some more. Looking close. I like that. A backflip. Land in the loading zone. Boom. Now we're at Hyrule Castle. So we did all that to skip the portal that you would normally unlock in front of Hyrule Castle. The way you enter normally, there are shadow beasts, you fight them, you get a portal to warp here. We can skip that. It's just a pain in the butt. Alright, where do we warp to now? And now we'll see if I can get a river jump. Shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if I can get the cutscene skip bonk. Nice. There's a way to beat Morpheal without the Zora armor, which means we can skip the Zora armor for this low percent speedrun, but it requires bombs, which would mean getting bomb bag. However, there is a way to get a bomb bag without getting a bomb bag, which is what we're going to be doing right now. The only downside is every time you save and quit, it disappears. Now we grab Uku and just warp out. Now I need to nail all this first try. That was the boss key skip. I did the easy setup. If you clip through that fence and roll at a certain angle, you can skip the boss key. It's the only boss key skip because you need to open the doors in order to activate the boss loading zones, except for this one, where opening the door takes you to a separate area where the loading zone is at. So we can skip that, barely make it to the bottom, and here's the fun part. Claw shot. Pull out my sword. Get over here. Okay, good. Grab a bomb. And force unequip the iron boots. That'll activate swimming with water bombs. And this glitch allows us to refill our air. Now, hopefully, I will beat this boss first try. What? No, I didn't have the claw shot. That was such an easy one, too. Okay, this will work. Please don't kill me. So I'm going to force unequip the iron boots. Swimming with water bombs to the side. Perfect. This should work. Now force unequip the iron boots. And we can immediately latch on for a finishing blow. First try. Good. Now we're at the Midna's Desperate Hour part of the game. This is pretty basic stuff, you get used to it. Watch this, he's gonna say, "You've got 24 hours.
You've got 24 hours.
This is where we get introduced to the Poe Souls. This one we unfortunately do have to grab, but that will be the last of the Poes. Then we can transform into Link. Use the lantern, which we have... I almost just used all of it on nothing. And we never got Ending Blow, so that's why we used the Howling Stone earlier. Because since we didn't complete the first Twilight, we can't get Ending Blow from the first wolf. This one's most convenient. Except that the first wolf always puts us where the first wolf would usually be, so now we're in a weird Twilight state. Nice. Oh wait, while we're here... There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Now we're gonna go get the ball and chain early by performing map glitch again. As I said, it cancels loading zones, so if we activate map glitch, it won't be able to void us out. Yeah, the blizzard just has nothing on us. Oh, I'm stuck. What is this? Here comes the worst part. You walk over to the edge, throw the Gale Boomerang, and then void out so far forwards that it just puts you up with Yeto. There we go. So that skips the portal. Now we're with Yeto. And this is the hard part. Because now the fog is still here while we're sledding. Which is hard enough, and now we can't see. I'm really bad at this. Yeah, dude, I can't see anything. I'm gonna try the shortcut. Gonna try going a bit slower. Dude, I don't know where... Oh. What? Did I make it? Okay, first try? I know I slowed down, but still. Alright, Snow Peak Ruins. So we can long jump attack past this room and claw shot through the floor. Claw shot down here and do a funny little ice glitch. Pretty smooth, pretty fast, and skips a small key and like the whole dungeon. So now it might be possible to do this with the amount of health I have, but it's gonna prove difficult. So jump into the freezer, be attacked through the corner, and now we have to open the door because, like I mentioned earlier, you can't just go into loading zone. Uh-oh. I have 1/4 heart. Nice, 1 cycle, and damageless. And that's the ball and chain already. That was the fastest I've ever done all of Snow Peak. Right, now we'll see if the bubble spawns. Let's see if he gives me the orange rupee. Save and quit the game. There's another bubble in this corner. Thank you for the orange rupee. And we do need 300 rupees in order to warp the sky cannon, so those enemies make things really fast. Now we can warp to Lake Hylia and make our way towards Gerudo Desert. Maybe I've just been doing the wrong spots the whole time. Now we get to Gerudo Desert. So now that we have the ball and chain, we can run in the corner, get rid of... What? Come on now. Really? I'm gonna kill the boars before I break this thing? You're supposed to be able to break it. Thank you. And just dash in the corner with Wolflink. Are they gonna shoot me through the wall? Yes, they are. What is this? What? What is this clown show? Holy epilepsy. Alright, now we can perform map glitch again. 3 side hops after a spin attack. LJA up here. Aim towards the building. And jump attack. And the trigger extends infinitely upwards and downwards. Why am I being so bad at spin attacks right now, dude? I found out that when you jump in the sand, if you hold A, you'll just roll. I've been trying to time it this whole time and wondering why it wouldn't work. Wow, that's so easy. I wish I would have known that about this room ages ago. Now in this room are the Poes. There's the Poe Scent and the Poe Souls, none of which we're gonna be getting. Because this is low percent and we have rupee slides, and I'm sure you've already seen this one before. Thankfully, there's a setup for it that makes speed consistent. We're basically just going to take this pot in a corner, use ledges, and frame perfect pausing and direction holds to align our angle correctly. That looks really good to me. Okay. And now we wait 9 hours. Now, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, so I'm gonna edit for a bit and then go to bed, leave my game on, and stop the recording, but tomorrow I will continue where I left off. After a successful rupee slide, we can jump through this pillar with Wolf Link, and then use the ball and chain to kill the Stalfos and make our way over to Death Sword. After we beat Death Sword, we get the spinner, and are able to make our way to the boss key and then to Stallard, and then we beat him, and beat these shadow beasts, and then warp away. We can do early City in the Sky to skip a big chunk of this game by transforming in this corner at the right time and just clipping through this statue. This game only checks for the 4th and final mirror shard, which you get from King Argarok, so you don't actually have to complete Snow Peak or Temple of Time. Now we can do some glitches like skipping the fans so that we can go up and get the boss key early, using LJAs to get across big rooms, and a few more to speed things up along the way, and then we fight King Argarok. But nothing too notable here except for this nice frame-perfect roll, followed by the best Vine Claw shot I've ever gotten before. After we beat King Argarok, we need to go to Palace of Twilight, but Zant has an underwater phase, which means we're gonna need more water bombs. But due to previous save warping, we don't have Isa's bomb bag anymore. Thankfully, we can steal it again by pulling open the map and immediately pressing A. Then if we warp out, we have stolen the bomb bag again and can get some water bomb refills from City in the Sky. Palace of Twilight is pretty normal. There are some LJAs to speed things up, but can't really skip any of these small keys. After we beat Zant, we go to Hyrule Castle, and while there are some fun glitches here and there, like barrier skips to speed things up, there aren't any noteworthy item skips. So we can just go straight to Ganondorf, then we joust, then we duel, and that's time. Alright, Twilight Princess Low What? Low percent. That was actually very easy. Low transforms is much worse. Twilight Princess Low percent complete. And that one seems really tame after the Tears of the Kingdom challenge, and really tame compared to what we have coming up. Ocarina of Time Low percent all dungeons. Ocarina of Time speedrunning is very different from the other 3D Zelda speedruns. It's not like your stamina management needs to be timed well, or like you have one really bad pixel-perfect glitch, because in this game, due to the 20 FPS, easy wall targeting, and baby mode pause buffering, frame perfect and pixel perfect are basically in every glitch. It's just that precise. And in low percent all dungeons, the first glitch is so precise that if you have even 1/1000th of a unit off, it won't work. Our objective is to throw this rock in such a way that it falls much shorter than normal, and lets us frame perfectly talk to the know-it-all brother and clip past without a single item. So after over an hour on the first glitch of the run, I finally got 1 minute into a 2-hour speedrun. Fun! And now with our first item in hand, it's time to spend over an hour on the next glitch, the chicken dive. I can't tell if there's a timer on the attacks for this chicken or not. I tried for so long to try and figure this dumb chicken out, and I just couldn't. I just got the glitch once, saved my game, and never went back to it again. You have to hit this chicken with 5 pots. On the 5th pot, when it starts the cutscene of attacking you, you backflip into the well, and the cutscene will cause you to cutscene dive. The first half an hour was just learning how far Link throws pots, getting used to throwing this chicken in these 2 corners, and the other hour or whatever the heck was just me trying to get the chicken to move in the right spot and not run out of its timer. 2 glitches in, and we already have one so precise that 1/1000th of a unit isn't enough, and one that is heavily RNG dependent. This is a good sign. Now we are in bottom of the well with nothing but an ocarina. First we have to target the Skulltula and use Navi or pause buffering at just the right time to increase the Skulltula's height. We then get some more classic Ocarina of Time setup and use the Skulltula's hitbox to clip us through the wall. and preferably not fall out of the water. But after 4 successes followed by swimming fails, we finally get to the bombchus, our second and most overpowered item in the speedrun. Now we can go to Temple of Time and get the Master Sword early. There's a little gap in this gate, so we can use an interesting roll setup to side hop through the wall. And if we hold target and left, we just kind of levitate for a minute before we pop in the other side. Now we get to the fun stuff, because we're going to be Adult Link for the rest of the run, abusing our limited number of bombchus to completely destroy this category. First, we can get to Dodongo's cavern and use some clever bombchus to speed up things just a lot. Use this keys and navi text to freeze this button in place, beat Dodongo, which took way too long, and next we're gonna go to Lon Lon Ranch. Usually in some of these boss rooms, you can't use the ocarina, but over at Lon Lon Ranch, when we try to pick a horse, the only item we're able to use is the ocarina. So by doing a very complicated setup to position our horse and Link in the perfect spot to get Link trapped inside the horse, we can pause and unpause 19 or so times without letting a single frame of the game pass, and when we unpause, we will be launched and grab the edge of this hut, and we can escape the horse race. And this makes it so that we can only use the ocarina, even inside the boss room. Now we do more classic Ocarina of Time position setup before landing in the portal and playing the ocarina at the same time. Then once we die, this will perform a wrong warp. And now we end up at Gerudo Training Grounds, which is where things start to get difficult. We're supposed to use bombchus to clip through this fence to get more bombchus. That is, if I had any bombchus left over. Thankfully, we're not gonna need bombchus for a while, so things should be fine. First, after we get caught at Gerudo Fortress, we make our way back to Gerudo Fortress and sneak over to this spot on the map. And now we can walk up this wall, make our way over to this spot out of bounds, turn to the side, and if we side hop, we will... Yes! And now everything is unloaded. Don't even ask. We backwalk over to this loading zone and end up in the desert. Now, if you've played Ocarina of Time before, you know that you need the Lens of Truth to follow the ghost in a very specific path to make your way through this desert, otherwise you get lost. But we're gonna do it without the Lens of Truth, which, to someone who has a few months of Ocarina of Time experience, is insane. And yes, I did follow another video. Link to ZFG's Ocarina of Time low % all dungeon speedrun will be in the description. After getting lost and dying more times than I could count, I was able to navigate perfectly through the desert and make it to Spirit Temple. After all those super difficult glitches back to back, naturally we should have no downtime and get straight to the next difficult glitch, which, according to the files here, will only take me 7 hours. Please help me, I'm losing my mind. With some wall targeting, frame perfect stab, canceled thingy push in the wall, some frame perfect camera work, some ESS turns. If we roll and hold left at just the right time, we can glitch through this crawl space. Only Child Link is allowed to crawl through these crawl spaces, and we have nowhere else to go as Adult Link. Now once we're standing in this crawl space, if we side hop and repeatedly jump attack, we can make it through to the other side. We kill all the enemies in this room, and go through these set of doors, and make it to a room with a Stalfos who isn't a big deal, and this switch, where we can use a bombchu. Oh wait, I have no bombchus. Already about 30 minutes into a 2-hour speedrun, yet about 15 hours for me, I thought that I was already gonna have to forfeit this challenge. We have an Ocarina of Time and bombchus, which I don't even have since I used them all on Dodongo, and this room requires you to hit a switch, preferably with the boomerang as Child Link, in order to get across. and I've searched everywhere and there are no Bombchu chests around. In all my times of trouble, I go to zeldaspeedruns.com, even though I know it's usually not going to help for the specific problems I have. And sure enough, why would Bombchu locations be on there? It wasn't. But there was something else. Just one sentence. One evil sentence that gave me hope and dread. Apparently, it's possible to use this bubble who flies in random RNG patterns and jump attack, damage boost yourself across this gap. So after hours of clipping out of bounds, hours of falling out of this crawl space, and hours of messing up with this bubble, finally, I found a setup and got the perfect pattern. And you bet I hit the switch and saved my game. Now in this next room, we get to our next glitch, which is pretty confusing. If we use Link's slow walking speed and put away our sword, and 1 frame later fall off a ledge and press B to swing our sword, and light the torch. I had been trying this glitch for ages. I'd been sitting here walking off the edge for an hour or two straight, and I still had 3/4 of a speedrun to go. But I just couldn't get the glitch, it just wasn't working. So, there are 2 versions of Ocarina of Time where you're able to use a weapon you just put away the previous frame. The beta version of the game, and the 1.0 version of the game, which I do not have because I am playing on the collector's edition on a Wii. Which means that this glitch is patched and the run is dead. 30 minutes in. I spent almost 20 hours of my life for 1/4 of a speedrun, only to get told no by a game version. So, with a bruised ego and salt in the wound, I had to forfeit another low percent challenge. If you want to see some more insane glitches, please go check out ZFG's speedrun, and all the other speedrunners as well. This category is insane, it's why I wanted to play it. Maybe one day I'll come back to it, but for now, this is the end. A showcase of the insanity of low percent speedruns. Sure, I wasn't able to experience the full fun of these runs, but these were some of the coolest categories I've ever taken a stab at. Go watch other people run these categories, because it's a heck of a light show. Farewell.